He laughed when I said I was keeping our baby, and the sound hit harder than rent due. Derek tapped a stack of bills like a judge with a gavel and asked how I'd pay for diapers, for nights without sleep, for a future I couldn't price. The ceiling fan clicked, slow and cruel, while Nura's tiny fingers squeezed mine like a promise. I felt the floor drop and a door open at the same time. If money was the chain, love would be the key. I told him I would build a life where care wasn't a debt. He called it a dream. I called it work. He walked out, leaving the air thin and the lights too bright. I gathered receipts, sketch paper, and courage. There, beside a bottle warmer and cold takeout, I drew a door with a scanner and wrote one word above it: Nestworks. If I could make a place that paid parents back in time, maybe time would pay me back. Would he regret the price of that laugh? Morning comes like a dare. I count coins by the coffee machine and circle job boards, while Nura smacks her palms on the table, making a music that keeps me from breaking. I map out hours the way other people map road trips, delivery runs at dawn, design mock-ups at nap time, customer interviews between bath and bedtime. The city hums outside, full of doors that open for people with keys I don't yet own. I borrow courage from tiny milestones, Nora's laugh, a stranger's kind review, a sketch that looks less like hope and more like a plan. I text Omar the words, care, work, one building. He replies with code already forming. I tape a sign on the wall. Pay parents in time? It feels like the first brick. If I can stack enough, maybe we'll have walls before the wind notices. By noon, the apartment turns into a workshop. I cut foam boards on the floor while Nura naps in a nest of laundry, and Omar dials in with diagrams that make my messy arrows look like they meant to be there. He says we need a name that feels like a door you'd walk through twice. I say Nestworks, and the word settles heavy and kind. We list what parents need and what landlords fear, then draw the line between them. Licensed care, soundproof glass, open books, transparent pricing. Every no becomes a feature. I send Farah a bold message. Would you help me build a daycare you'd be proud of? I wait through 3 breaths and a century. Her reply is one word: when? And the room shifts like the first time a key turns and clicks. Evening brings the kind of quiet that tempts doubt. I scroll forums where founders brag about burn rates and think about diapers, formula, and bus fares. I price a day pass so a parent can buy 1 hour of focus without selling their soul. I cost out licensed ratios and put Farah's name in bold beside safety. I hear Derek's laugh echo in my head and answer it with a checklist: zoning, insurance, background checks, portable cribs, lactation room. When the list ends, I add one more line: no pity discounts, only fair math. It feels like drawing a boundary in wet cement. Tomorrow, it will be set. For tonight, I breathe with Nura, slow and steady, and promise her a door that opens from the inside. Night again, and the city lowers its voice. I set a timer for a design gig due at dawn and tape my sketch of the glass door to the wall like a promise I can't let fall. A lullaby drifts from my phone and Nura's breath steadies mine. I test the name out loud: Nestworks, and the room seems to square its shoulders. I draw a floor plan with a childcare wing that meets code and a work hall that meets dignity. I imagine a scanner that knows who we are and what we've paid, a sign that says members, and a policy that keeps the past outside. When I finally close my eyes, I see a lobby cut from light and glass, and a man at the threshold who once said I couldn't afford a baby. Tomorrow, I start building the place he can't afford to visit. Dawn starts with wheels on pavement and a map lit like a small galaxy in my lap. I stack deliveries before sunrise, timing the elevator doors like a game I can't afford to lose. Nura rides in the stroller, wrapped in a blanket with stars, her eyes following the soft rattle I hang from the handle, and each blink steadies me. Between stops, I sketch layouts on a receipt. Quiet rooms, soundproof glass, a corridor where a parent can breathe. Omar messages me a prototype. Booking, badges, child check-in. Simple screens that look like an answer. Farah sends a list of ratios and a note that reads, "We build trust by the minute." I read it twice at a red light and feel a knot loosen. A customer tips big for arriving with a smile, and I put the bill in a jar marked permit fees. The city wakes as I turn the last corner home, and I decide today we stop asking and start proving. By mid-morning, the apartment is a switchboard. Omar's code hums through my laptop while Noura knocks stacking cups together like drums. I test the check-in flow, swap pixels for plainer words, and picture a tired parent tapping once and being done. Farah joins the call and walks me through safety like a map. Sight lines, soft corners, locked gates, licensed staff. She speaks with the calm of someone who has seen panic and knows how to keep it outside. I scribble costs beside features and trim anything that looks fancy but doesn't save a minute. In another tab, I draft our day pass rules. Strong and kind. Fair rates, no pity, clear hours. I catch my reflection in the screen. Eyes sharp, shoulders tight, and force my jaw to relax. If care is our engine, clarity is the wheel. I move the cursor to publish pilot sign up and click. We rent a church hall for the weekend and transform it by tapes width and will. Omar lays cables like veins while I measure walkways with Noura strapped in a carrier against my chest, her heartbeat tucking under mine. Farah arrives with a tote of labels and a voice that turns chaos into order. In 15 minutes, she names corners, quiet, feed, play, and the room obeys. I push our pilot link live, and the slots vanish faster than breath on glass. Panic fizzles into purpose as parents begin to line up, curious and tired, holding the kind of hope that looks like paperwork. I greet each one with a clipboard and a promise. You can work while your child is safe within reach. When the first toddler laughs at a bubble, and the hall fills with the sound of keys and tiny feet, I realize the room doesn't feel borrowed anymore. It feels like a door that was always waiting. When the doors open, the room writes our deck for us. Parents check in with a tap. A staff badge blips green, and a welcome screen flashes a simple schedule that makes shoulders drop. I move like I've trained for this all my life. Bottles labeled, stroller parking mapped, headsets on the team. Farah floats between stations and catches the small things before they become big. A loose strip of tape, a toy too close to the exit. Omar watches the dashboard pulse with data, eyes bright, murmuring numbers that sound like certainty. Between tours, I kneel and tie a shoe, wipe a table, answer a question with both hands open. I look up and see a line out the door, not just for childcare, but for dignity, wrapped in clarity. In that noise, typing, laughter, the hush of naps beginning, I hear a truth I can price and defend. By night, the hall smells of crayons and hand soap, and the last parent lingers at the door to say, this is the first time they worked without fear in months. I lock the donation box, count the passes, and watch Omar's dashboard total the hours we gave back. Farah sits with Noura on her lap and tells me the room passed her own private test. The cry curve dipped fast. The smiles landed true. We sweep confetti, crumbs, coil cords, and lean against the same wall that felt like someone else's this morning. Grace texts, numbers look real. Run tomorrow at full capacity. I swallow hard and text back one word. Ready. Outside, the city lets out a tired sigh with us. I picture a future floor of our own. The scanner beeping, the door opening, and a man pausing at the price sign, realizing the only thing he can't afford here is underestimating me again. Morning slides in on lines and numbers. Omar's dashboard blooms like a city map. Check-ins pulsing, dwell time steady. Nap windows clustering into a soft bell curve that makes my shoulders drop. Farah reviews incident logs with a pencil that never hesitates. She circles a loose gate latch, a toy rotation note, and says, "We got ahead of the tears." I tape our parent feedback to the wall. Words like calm seem possible. For a second, I let myself want more than surviving. I picture a floor with our name etched into glass, a routine that can hold 100 Mondays without cracking. But the room answers with the thud of real work. Spills to wipe, forms to stamp, a printer that coughs like it needs tea. I drink cold coffee, kiss Nura's crown, and press go live on day 2. If day 1 proved we could open the door, today must prove the door knows how to stay open. Capacity hits like a tide that knows the moon by name. Strollers roll in nose to tail. The check-in tone becomes the rhythm of the room. I greet. I kneel. I label. I point. And every parent's shoulders drop a centimeter when they see through the glass. Play supervised, tasks possible, time unbroken. Omar calls numbers like a good drummer. Utilization, station balance, average session value, and the beats land where we need them. Paraglides, smoothing frictions, the way a lighthouse edits a coastline. She swaps a toy set before boredom spikes and asks a parent if a quiet corner would help. Nura tries to echo the check-in beep and laughs at her own sound, and that laugh rewires something inside me. In the co-work zone, keyboards begin a small storm. I look up at the whiteboard where our pricing sits without apology and feel the floor of my doubts settle, strong enough to hold strangers and their mornings. Grace arrives without preamble, a question contained in a person. She walks the perimeter with hands behind her back, taking in the arc of movement. Check in to play to nap to pick up, like she's testing a bridge. "Show me the worst 5 minutes," she says. And we do. A wobbly handoff, a printer jam, a toddler bump that ends in a quick cuddle and a sticker. Her nod is small, but the kind that counts. She asks for cohort data, retention curves, and price elasticity, and Omar answers while I talk trust. The way parents return when policy is clear and tone is even. Farah adds the quiet truth. Staff ratios are a promise, not a suggestion. Grace listens and then sets a clean condition. 1 corporate partnership or a second weekend at max capacity with a waitlist to the door. Signal, not story, she says. I look at Nura tugging a foam block like it's a mountain, and I say, "We'll get you both." We chase the partnership like it's oxygen. I draft an outreach pack that doesn't beg, it calculates. Time saved becomes money found. Absentee dips. Morale rises under Kinderlight. Omar builds a demo portal with employer-tagged bookings and consolidated billing, and the screens look like a door a risk officer would actually open. Farah writes the staff training spine so the service won't sag when the room is full of strangers on a Monday. I call a facilities manager who once ignored me. This time I speak in numbers and short nouns, and he schedules a site visit. While the hall hums, I steal a corner to nurse, then return to the floor with a steadier pulse. Grace's text sits like a ticking metronome. Signal by Friday. I add a second plan. Max capacity in core, live-streamed waitlist, real testimonials. 2 shots at the same target. If one misses, the other cannot. The encore day spills past, busy into proof. A line snakes down the hallway. A whiteboard blooms with first names and time slots. Our radios stay calm, even when the bubble machine hiccups and the printer runs out of breath. Again. Buddy. Parents leave notes that read like futures. I answered 12 emails without fear. I finished a grant. I remembered who I am. Omar's graph prints like a heartbeat, and Farah signs the safety checklist with a satisfied flourish. I want to frame. After close, we circle the tables with pizza on napkins and numbers on our tongues. Grace calls, voice steady, and asks for the employer's answer. Pending tomorrow, I say. Then add the thing I shouldn't be shy to say. We're full, with a waitlist to the sidewalk. She exhales like a door unlocking. Then send me the price you're not afraid of. I look at Nora standing, wobbling, letting go for 2 brave steps. I quote the number out loud. He showed up at the pilot's exit like the past wearing cologne. Derek leaned on the door frame and said he had a real job for me at a company that didn't allow kids on premises, a salary that sounded safe if I folded my idea back into a drawer. He said courts like stability, that late nights and startup risks made bad optics, that he could help with Noura if I learned to be reasonable. The fluorescent hum above us felt like a warning. I watched parents sign out with calmer faces than they'd carried in, watched Farah thank a staffer for catching a spill before it turned into a fall, watched Omar mute his screen to give me privacy he knew I wouldn't take. I told Derek stability is a room with rules we build, not a leash. He smiled like pity and said, "Well, see?" When he walked away, I caught my reflection in the glass. Tired steady, already choosing again. The zoning office smelled like old paper and new ink. The kind of room where hope gets stapled to rules. Our application net code until it didn't. A neighbor complaint, an occupancy question, a line in a bylaw no one had touched since dial-up. The clerk was kind but firm. The stamp paused midair. I felt the floor tilt and saw 2 paths: curse the system or make it our edge. Farah set her pen down and began translating jargon into steps. Fire egress singage here, stroller parking there. Air exchange clarified in plain words. Omar pulled up the building map and layered workflows over exits until the chaos looked like choreography. I called Grace and said, "Delay, not denial," she said. "Turn it into a moat." Outside, the sky bruised toward rain. I held Noura in the crook of my arm and promised her a space so compliant it would make fear bored. The stamp lowered. Not to approve, but to list what approval would require. I left with a checklist and a plan. The neighbor lived above our proposed site and introduced herself with a list of worries. Noise, parking, strangers, the slow creep of something different. I listened until I could hear what sat under the worries. Being unseen, being surprised, being left out of decisions made downstairs. We invited her to the hall. Farah walked her through nap protocols and sound ratings, showed her how quiet is designed, not wished. Omar pulled up a live decibel readout and a scheduling grid that staggered arrivals like polite traffic. I spoke about parents who needed 1 hour of peace to keep their jobs, and I asked what would make her feel safe. We drafted a neighbor charter on the spot, posted quiet hours, stroller caps, a hotline we'd actually answer. She didn't smile, but her shoulders sank a little. When she left, she said, "If you keep your word, I'll keep mine." It wasn't a yes, but it was ground to build on. Derek's texts turned from offers to smoke signals, articles about custody battles, a screenshot of a salary range, a photo outside a sleek office with a caption, "This is what stability looks like." I typed and deleted 3 replies, then chose silence and sent our lawyer a note to formalize a parenting plan. Farah read our policies like a lighthouse keeper, brightening any line that could drift vague. Omar doubled security in the app and added a visitor log that treated drop-ins like storms to track, not surprises to endure. Grace called with a quieter voice than usual and said the employer was leaning. Yes, if we cleared zoning, she'd lead the round. In the same hour, the city emailed us a compliance checklist that looked like a wall. I pinned it to the board and wrote above it, "Moat. Fear would try the door." We would answer with standards so clean even doubt would have to sanitize its hands before entering. We rebuilt the plan like a fortress you'd still want to live in. Extra exit signage, clearer stroller lanes, acoustic panels that made quiet a feature, not a fluke. I wrote a parent promise that began with dignity and ended with specifics, and Farah stitched it to staff training until the words could stand up during the worst 5 minutes. Omar timed flows with a stopwatch and cut any friction he could measure. The neighbors signed the charter. The clerk scheduled a re-inspection. I breathed in a morning that didn't taste like pen. Then Derek appeared at the construction tape with a smile that said camera, not apology, and asked for a tour. Asnura father. I pointed to the policy. No visitors without booking. Safety before history." He laughed, smaller this time, and stepped back. The inspector arrived with a clipboard and a steady nod. I didn't look at Derek again. I watched the stamp touch paper and leave a shape we could build a future on. Opening day tastes like metal and sugar, fear and frosting. Balloons bump the ceiling. The scanner's first beep lands like a drum, and for one clean minute, everything moves the way we drew it on napkins. Parents arrive in waves that feel like applause. Farah's checklist glides from line to line. Omar watches the dashboard settle into a rhythm we can hold. I kneel to tie a toddler's shoe and stand to greet a journalist with a smile that doesn't shake. Then the lights stutter. A hum becomes a hush. Laptops blink black, and the room learns our character in one heart. I look at the generator case, at the emergency lamps we installed because the city made us. And I realize the city also saved us. We switched to manual. Paper sign-ins. Walkie-talkies, windows flung wide for daylight. I climb a chair and tell the room what's true. We planned for this. Your work is safe. Your kids are safer. The hum returns, slower but steady. So do the shoulders, dropping back down. The outage becomes a rumor before the power is fully back, and the rumor mutates online into a takedown. A thread with old photos, a claim that we cut corners, a sneer about mom math. It spreads fast and feels personal, because fast and feels personal. It is. I taste copper again. Then remember our rule. Tell the truth before fear does. I post our permits, our ratios, our backup plan, and a time-stamped video of kids playing in gentle light while the generator holds steady. Parents reply with their own proof. A finished proposal, a quiet call, a breathing space they'd paid for and received. Farah signs her name beneath our safety record. Omar adds uptime graphs that look like calm seas. I refuse to fight a ghost. I speak to the room we serve. The thread doesn't die, but it gets bored. In the lobby, a mother cries because she met a deadline she thought would end her job. I hand her water, a chair, and a receipt that says our price, our promise, and not one apology. At noon, the city sends heat through the windows like a blessing, and the floor turns into a chorus. Beeps, keys, soft laughter, the rustle of nap blankets. Grace steps in, silent first, scanning like she did at the pilot. But this time, the room answers without coaching. A parent waves through the glass and mouths, "Thank you." Omar rolls out a real-time display of capacity. Churn near zero. Repeat bookings climbing. Farah guides a new staffer through nap checks, with a nod that feels like legacy. I open the books we promised to open. Line items for cleaning, for training, for living wages. No pity discounts, I say. Only fair math. Grace listens. Eyes softened by something I can't price. She asks for the one number that hurts to say. My salary. And I name it clean because leaders who want pay themselves teach their teams to vanish. She writes in a small notebook, then closes it. Keep the lights honest, she says. The lights seem to agree. Afternoon tries us again. A tripped breaker in the kitchen. A toddler's knee bumped on a stool. A courier late with supplies. None of it turns into a story, because our system catches each before it grows teeth. We post updates as they happen. Breaker reset, ice packs and cuddles, new ETA, water on every table. Parents watch us choose candor over spin and trust flowers faster than any ad could afford. I call a short tour for anyone who wants to see the back of house. Laundry, storage, the quiet room, and the line surprises me. We show how a day becomes safe on purpose, not luck. When the courier finally arrives, the staff applauds, and the applause is for the process, not the boxes. Omar grins, Farah's eyes shine, and I feel the room tilt toward the future we promised. The troll thread tries one more swing and misses, slipping past our policies like a fist through water. We keep working. We keep breathing. Evening leads in and the room exhales. The last pickups are soft and grateful. The co-work glass shows ghosted handprints like proof of focus. I sit on the playroom floor with receipts, notes, and Noura's sock in my pocket like a secret medal. Grace returns without announcement and lowers herself onto the mat beside us. "You turned problems into product," she says, and taps her phone. The alert on mine lands a second later. "Funds received." Omar whoops and then covers his mouth like we're in church. Farah laughs, the laugh of someone who has seen long roads and believes in short winds. I think of Derek's laugh, smaller now, and let it fade like a song from another room. I text the landlord, a yes, the contractor, a go, and the team a promise. Fare raises first. I grip the keyring that isn't metaphor anymore. Noura toddles into my arms. The door we drew on a napkin has a sound now. It clicks and the future opens. The contract arrives in my inbox at dawn, glowing like sunrise in pixels. Nestworks will power the corporate campus childcare program for 1,000 employees. The logo beside ours feels impossible, but the ink is real. I forward it to Omar, to Farah, to Grace, each name a milestone carved in trust. We meet at the site before opening, still half asleep. Coffee steaming between our fingers like victory smoke. Omar prints the first page, tapes it to the glass door, and writes, "We start today." Farah walks the floor, counting stations under her breath. Every number a prayer for safety. Noura toddles across the room, chasing her reflection in the polished floor. I kneel beside her and whisper, "This place knows your name now." The first corporate badge scans green. The beep sounds softer than I imagined, but heavier with meaning. I feel it settle through my bones. We're not a story anymore. We're infrastructure. The first full day under contract feels like running a marathon with new shoes. Light, but unbroken in. Corporate parents move through the space with cautious eyes and stiff shoulders. Farah's team greets them with practiced calm, while Omar tracks the rhythm from his console. Check-ins per hour, parent dwell time, first impressions trending upward. I watch from the glass office that isn't really mine, just a corner with enough power outlets for dreams. Grace texts a simple, steady wins. She knows the high after a deal is the most dangerous hour. Midday, a client executive stops by, impressed by Noura's laugh more than our KPIs, and says, "This feels human. That's the win I don't record, but keep." When the doors close that evening, the silence feels earned. I send the day's dashboard to Grace with one note, "Proof of concept met." She replies, "No, Maya. Proof of conviction. Growth comes like weather. Fast, loud, uninvited." Requests flood the inbox. Landlords call back. Articles headline, "The startup redefining working parenthood." I should feel elated, but pressure changes sound. It hums in every light fixture. Omar works 12-hour stretches, fine-tuning systems that no longer fit on one dashboard. Farah trains new staff and enforces calm through sheer will. I start saying "we" when I mean I, and I'm not sure if that's evolution or evasion. Grace warns me to hire before burnout hires itself. At home, Noura stacks blocks and knocks them down, laughing, and I watch her tiny collapse and build rhythm with envy. The next morning, a message from Derek slips into the public inbox. "Proud of you. Maybe we can talk." I flag it unread, not in anger, but disinterest. Some messages are better left unopened, like doors that never needed hinges. We call it training day, but it feels like choreography. Farah leading, Omar cueing screens, and me translating mission into muscle memory. Safety first, she says. Speed second, care always. New staff nod, wide-eyed, taking notes. I catch my reflection in the mirror and hardly recognize the posture. Confident? Still, not faking it anymore. Grace sends over HR templates that make us look like a real company, not a miracle. At lunch, Omar slides a small box across the table. Custom keycards engraved, founding team, inside each, a quote. Mine reads, "Care is not a favor." We laugh, half tired, half proud. Farah pretends to grumble about sentiment, but wipes her eyes when she thinks we aren't looking. When the last trainee leaves, she says quietly, "You've built something that won't need you to survive." It lands like the most beautiful kind of loss. It happens quietly, the moment power shifts. The corporate exec who once dismissed my pitch requests a tour, badge clipped too low. Smile, cautious. He walks the floor with a clipboard while Derek appears behind him, hands in pockets, pretending he belongs. The system catches both. Green light for one, red for the other. Unauthorized visitor, the scanner declares in its calm voice. Derek freezes and I step forward, not cruel, just clear. This floor is for members. I say the same way I'd say, "This table is for families." He forces a grin, mutters about just stopping by, and turns away. Smaller somehow. Grace's voice hums from the overhead intercom. Nestworks has passed safety audit. Certified. Applause erupts. The team cheers. I lift Noura high and let her see what doors sound like when they close right. The future isn't loud, I realize. It's secure. By morning, the lobby looks like a promise kept. Glass polished to a calm horizon. Sign-in screens breathing a gentle blue. The scent of lemon and new paint holding steady against nerves and camera crews. We set chairs in clean arcs and lay out name badges that feel like tiny keys. Omar rechecks the dashboard and grins at the uptick we've earned. Farah walks her safety route without looking down, the path already living in her bones. Grace arrives with a nod that says the numbers sang, but today should be about the people who carried them. She asks if I'm ready to speak. I think of the first sketch taped beside a bottle warmer, of bills fanned like storm clouds of a laugh. I refuse to spend my life answering. I lift Noura onto my hip. She taps my cheek and giggles, as if to bless this room. When I step to the mic, the hum settles. We are not asking permission anymore. We are opening the door we built. I tell the room a simple story. A parent needs 1 hour of certainty to protect a year of work. Certainty is built, not begged. And the price we charge must honor the hands that make certainty real. The faces tilt forward, not toward me, but toward their own memories. Missed calls, closed doors, the ache of trying to be in two places at once. Omar cues a slide that looks like a quiet tide. Retention high, churn low, edges smoothed by policy and care. Farah outlines a training ladder that pays people to stay and grow. Race stands, not to claim credit, but to confirm it. She speaks the language of outcomes and then steps back so the room can hear what money often mutes. I end where we began. No pity discounts, only fair math, and a door that holds when the day asks too much. Applause rises like a lift, opening on the right floor. For a breath, I let it carry me. After the talks, the room loosens into small knots of plans and promises. Parents trade stories like maps. A manager asks about adding a second site. A young staffer tells Farah she never felt this trusted at work. Grace and Omar corner. A facilities lead to sketch a pilot expansion that reads like a blueprint humming. I kneel to tie Noura's shoe and feel a pressure shift, like the air considering rain. When I stand, Derek is suddenly framed by the doorway. Clean smile, phone in hand, voice pitched for the camera, not the heart. A quick congrats photo, he asks, stepping inside as if the years between us were a hallway, not a wall. The room doesn't freeze, it clarifies. Our visitor policy sits at the threshold like a spine. I don't raise my voice. I don't explain history. I point to the sign and then to the scanner. Rules aren't revenge. They are care made visible. He tries charm, the currency that used to work when I was tired and unsure. It'll help your brand, he says, angling his phone so my reflection fits the frame with him. I see the old apartment in the glass for just a moment. Lamplight, bills, a sketch of a door, and then the reflection becomes the lobby we built, bright and owned. I tell him we don't trade safety for optics, that photos inside require bookings and consent, and that my answer is no. His mouth tightens. He glances at the room, searching for an ally who no longer lives here. Omar steps closer, not looming, just present. Farah's eyes are kind but unmoved. Grace is steel wrapped in silk, watching with the patience of someone who values how a company holds its boundaries more than how it smiles. The scanner waits, impartial. I keep my hands open and my voice even. He lowers the phone. I offer him the same path anyone gets. Book a tour, respect the rules, come back as a member of the world we protect. He stares at the rate card like it's written in a language pride never learned. The scanner blinks red. Policy, not anger. I thank him for stopping by. He turns, smaller than the door, and the hallway swallows the click of his shoes. The room exhales without gloating. We return to work. Grace taps my shoulder and nods at the etched glass above us. Our name, bright as a sunrise. Omar lifts Noura and spins her once. Farah laughs. That steady bell laugh. That means nothing broke today. I think of the first night I drew a doorway and wrote a word I wasn't sure I deserved. Now, the word is ours, and the doorway knows who we are. Wealth, it turns out, is time we can hand to parents and keep for our child. The scanner chirps green. We walk through.